okay, I tried to film this multiple times. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm feeling this. And I'm not. Guys, when you look at the end of the show, do you care? Do you care? At the very end with Evolution Summit. I know the reason why this is all going stupid. We got 3 PLEs in 2 days. Well, of course, you could say Saturday night's main event is not a PLE, but it is a PLE. Let's be honest. That's what they're touting it as. They're touting it as a PLE, even though it's not a PLE. Let's make it very clear. And Tony Khan does not need more on top of him. It's the reason why this is going on. They're literally sacrificing 2 shows, well, technically 3, Evolution, just to screw with AEW. And look, I'm not a diehard with AEW. I'm looking at all these shows objectively, okay? You love AEW, more power too. I do love AEW, but I'm not someone who's going to say that it's perfect because we now know the problems with Britt Baker. We know what's going on with Warlow. He's just stuck at home. We know what happened with Penta. Definitely what happened with Rey Fenix. We know that there's been nothing but controversy after controversy with AEW. And this doesn't help it any more than it is. They still can't sell out arenas. They're now in smaller arenas compared to what they did more than a year and a half ago. So this doesn't need to be piled on top of them. And Silver Lake, WWE, wants to do what it normally does. Wants to destroy its opponent. That's the truth. And I'm looking at this show. I'm looking at this episode of NXT. And I'm like, yes, there's stuff here. And it looks good for the Great American Bash. I'm interested. But then I got to be interested in Sunday Night's main event, which I'm not. And then you look at the end of this show for Evolve. And I looked at SmackDown last week. I looked at most of Raw. I missed like the last 30 minutes of Raw. I did miss it. It was alright. It was better than normal. But I missed the end of that. So I don't know what happened if there were women. But I'm like, you have to make Evolve mean something. Because they haven't thrown it since 2018, I believe. And now you got to make the Great American Bash mean something. And it feels like it's being sacrificed just to screw with AEW. Let's go through this and I'll give my final thoughts. Look, I'm going to just go through the majority of this. I'm not going to be hopefully not too heavily explain things. Vanity Project versus Ricky Saints. He wins. He gets his title shot for the North American title against Ethan Page. I'm cool with it, seeing a little mini gauntlet. But let me ask you, honestly, do you care about Vanity Project? Do you even know who Vanity Project is? Look, there are how many shows? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Evolve, Speed, now Legend and Future Greats. Now they're going to try and push also AAA. How many shows is that we're trying to keep track of? There are too many shows to keep track of. I'm not going to go nuts trying to watch every show, particularly that if AAA starts having English with them more often and they start showing it on TV if they don't change the name to NXT Mexico. How the hell do you keep up with it all? And I don't know nothing about Vanity Project. They mean nothing. Yes, they're getting air on NXT, which is a developmental. They're finally getting time to be seen. That means they want to push them and start getting them ready to get onto that roster. But I don't care. And it feels like a waste of airtime for 3 guys who went up against Ricky Saints, who I knew were going to get beat. Moving on. Let's make this very clear. The no quarter catch crew match. Tavion Heights versus Charlie Dempsey. Seeing that Red Sinclair threw in the towel, I don't really see any benefit from it. And I don't see any feeling of it. They just wanted to just get it done and then get it over with. That's the way it looked. And to be honest, I don't know what story they're going to give us here. They should give us a story because when it comes to Tavion Heights, he has a good look. And he does go well in the ring. He also talks well, but let's make it very clear. He's been in there for more than 2.5, near 3 years now. And I don't know if they're going to keep him. This is not about if I like him. I want to make it clear. This is not about Tavion Heights, if I like him or not. This is about what he's accomplished in NXT in the No Quarter Catch Crew. And right now, Miles Bourne, I don't know if they're going to keep him. And you look at Tavion Heights, I don't know if they're going to keep him. Ren Sinclair, I can see them probably keeping her, working with Charlie Dempsey, who I do believe they're not going to get rid of. Not just because he's William's son, but he has, at least to a certain extent, when he's worked in TNA, when he went up against Jonathan Gresham, which I think is one of the best matches I've seen in years, legitimately, 100%, I just don't see them staying. So I feel like this is just trying to get things set up so if they do basically release them, it won't be a major issue. That's the way it looks. Do I believe they can keep them? Of course. Could they do storylines? Of course. But what storylines do you think they'll do here? Because Miles Bourne, he's just having random matches. Tavion is now going down Miles Bourne's route, but what does that actually mean? Yeah, he's staying, but for how long? It looks like they're going to have a feud, and honestly, the best thing I can see is Charlie getting a new member in the No Quarter Catch Crew, that when Tavion finally leaves, it'll be Charlie and this new guy versus both Bourne and Tavion that could lead them both to be released. Because honestly, if they're going to have a feud with No Quarter Catch Crew when it comes to Tavion and Miles, I don't know. It could work as a tag team, but the tag team division has not been good lately. Next, Santana and Joe Henry versus High Rise. The guys I can barely remember the names of. Because kind of like with the Northern Armory, when it comes to Williams and Icarus, only now I finally remembered their names. Because for so many months, I didn't think about their names because they've been nothing but background guys. And that's what's going on with High Rise. The same thing when it comes to Wes's guys. They feel like they're just there. And I'm not surprised that Santana got the pin. And that Trick Williams tried to screw everything up. Because they do have the triple threat. That's it. Moving on. What did I think of Jordan versus Lonely Reeds? What is her name? Laney Reeds. I think that's her name. Brand new. I believe she's from Evolve as well. Don't care. Don't see anything in her yet. Don't care. It's not because she doesn't have talent. If she's worked the indies, I haven't worked to look, and I don't need to work to look. It's not your responsibility to look at this person's past. It is about the company taking what they got now in this person that possibly worked the indies for years, or maybe just recently worked, and make them interesting. Make them mean something. Reed, I don't care about her. Because they haven't given her a character. Yes, she can wrestle. Yes, she's not bad looking, but I don't care. They got to give me something. Jordan won, and now that she's engaged to Carmelo Hayes, Kalani is, I believe they're going to do something with her, but I don't know what. Moving on. The culling goes against Hank and Tank. Do I like Tatum Paxley with the culling? Yes, but I don't know where they're going to go with her. Do I care about Hank and Tank? Yes, they're comedic wrestlers that are fun. And they won their match, which I'm not surprised. I just could not see them jobbing before the Great American Bash. But I'm really not feeling the Great American Bash because it's like this. So I should feel more, but I don't. Next, and final, let's briefly talk about the stuff that happened in the back. Did I like the Grace and let's make this very clear. Blake Monroe going to get going to get massages, get the makeup done and everything with Jordan Grace. That's not something that hasn't done before. But I will say that it is good to see that Jordan Grace has done this, even though it's not something that's uncommon. Because Jordan has never done it. Not even on Impact Wrestling did she do it when she was there. She never did a makeup that we saw unless it was the Impact Diaries. So this is something we don't normally see. Not in recent memory. Not in the last 2 or 3 years. So it is something a bit different. Question's going to be, how far are they going to push this storyline between Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace while Jordan is trying to get the NXT title? I don't know. Next, let me give it to you like this about the family. This is the most interesting story they have. Legitimately, guys. This one is the main one I care the most. Seeing that Rizzo is the one who brought Crucifino, who brought Stax, and Tony D back together at one table, I care about. Now, you could say, well, why are you caring about particularly with Rizzo? Because Rizzo hasn't done anything. She's been off TV for months. Yeah, but she's been part of that faction. And I can see Rizzo being the one that convinced all three of them to come together and talk. But they made it very clear they don't give two fucking flips. So Rizzo went to Ava and made it very clear this needs to end. And it's a triple threat. I do not know if it's for the Heritage Cup. I didn't hear them say it was for the Heritage Cup. But it is supposed to be a match that's supposed to blow off all three of them. When it comes to Stax, he believes he's being underutilized. When it comes to Crucifino, well, no. Crucifino feels like he's not being utilized. Stax believes they're not listening and they're not doing the right things for the family, being tough. And then Tony D believes he cannot trust anybody because they're going to stab him in the back. So this has to be done, which needs to be done. The blow-off has to happen. But here's the thing. If this is a true blow-off, because we don't know if it is, but if it is, one of these three must go to Raw or SmackDown or both. One needs to go to Raw, one needs to go to SmackDown, and one needs to stay in NXT. Tony D on Raw, Stax on SmackDown, and Crucifino stays in NXT because he needs the most development. Because Stax and Tony D, they're ready to move. And I did know and I did see that Stax is working Reality Wrestling. So there is a possibility, this is what I think. If Tony D doesn't go to SmackDown or Raw, and Crucifino stays on NXT, I really do believe that the best thing would be for Stax to actually go to SmackDown or Raw as well. But since he is working Reality Wrestling as well, there is a possibility they will let him stay with the Heritage Cup, and he will keep defending it, but also work Reality Wrestling as well. That's a good possibility that could still happen. But this is just me. I don't know what you guys think. Finally. Briggs, Imamura, and Ubafemi. I am very interested in this match. Because this is one of the rare times you see a Japanese wrestler actually being built. And seeing that they show footage of Pro Wrestling Noah, and they're trying to say, hey, go for it, we believe in you. And also seeing Io also do that, I'm more invested because he's been built. He has substantial story behind him. When he works with Briggs, when he was in the tag division, I can see them doing something. And the promo segment when all three of them were in the ring, when Briggs basically made it very clear, and Earmore, let me give it like this. Earmore, he did very well. He spoke very well in English, and he made it very clear he wants to do things for honor, but Briggs made it very clear. I'm not Earmore. He's speaking nice. I'm not. He's a man that wants to do honor. I'm a man who wants to do chaos, and I will do whatever it takes to get that damn title off of you. And I do believe Umafemi kind of botched a bit because of that pause. Like, this is not your fight. He's like, this is not your fight. This is not your fight. You better get your boy and get him out of here. That pause felt like a little bit like he was trying to remember his lines. And I'm like, that didn't look good. The fight itself was the wisest thing to do because seeing that Briggs did shove Inamura away so he can attack, he didn't do that on purpose to piss Inamura off. He did it on purpose to show how tough he can be. That he's going to show that his friend that he cares for can get the job done when he gets pissed off. And he knew that when he was going to get decked, that Iramura was going to get pissed off. He slugs Ubafemi very firmly in the face and then does a body slam to him. Look good. That is what I felt needed to happen. And I'm glad to see it. But the question is, what will happen to him after the bash? Because I just don't see Ubafemi dropping that title. So what is going to happen? Will Briggs turn on Iramura? Or will Iramura get so pissed off because of Briggs that he turns on him? I don't know. You guys tell me below what you think. Finally, the thing that made me feel like I feel no hyper evolution. I feel no hype. The women closed the show and I felt not. I'm still not feeling it. Let me give it to you like this. This is not about Ava talking that she was in high school when the first Evolution happened in 2018. Unless that was the Mae Young Classic. I think that was Evolution 2018. When it was done. Which everyone knows it didn't make as much money as many people wanted it to. But it's not about the money. It was about making sure these women were given stories and time to show it. The first one was mildly successful. I believe that. Because it was not about the amount of money it was produced. Because there was no way it was going to produce a huge amount of money. It just wasn't. Unless the booking was done correctly, which at that time it was not. It was still under Vince. And the booking was just not done correctly. And Vince did not see anything in it anyway. But he was pushed into doing it. Just to prove a point. And his point was, it made no money. But here's the thing. TNA have done this before. They have done women's pay-per-views. They did. And it did get successful for its company. Because they made sure the emphasis was on women's wrestling and stories. As well as making sure they meant something. Now, you fast forward now. Oh, sorry. Oh, my eyes are itchy. Fast forward now to what Silver Lake, not WWE or TKO WWE, we're talking about the Silver Lake WWE, which is not much different than TKO. The only thing that matters is this. Like I keep telling you guys, it does not matter, not one damn bit, if the people who own WWE, which is Silver Lake. I say again, Ari does not own the company. And JD doesn't say anything about that as a CEO. He could say, you know what? Ari Emanuel is a CEO. He's not the owner of it anymore. I'm one of the few people, or only one, who knows Ari's just a CEO. He could be fired at any time by the board at Silver Lake, the ones who hold the shares of the company. They can fire his ass anytime they want. He does not own it. But we know how Ari is. And on behalf of Silver Lake, Ari is having the same mindset as the people who own Silver Lake, the shareholders of that. This is the emphasis. They don't care what they're having that makes money as long as it makes money. So as you see now, it's heavily, heavily advertised. It is heavily publicized. Look what they're doing. They've done now 7 shows. Remember, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Evolve, Speed, LFG, and possibly AAA, which may become AAA Mexico, which would be NXT Mexico. But they have all this, and sooner or later, they're going to utilize it. 7 different shows, not promotions, shows. And I'm not even talking about TNA. TNA can be left out. Just what they got. They got 7 different shows they got. And honestly, they don't care about any of them. And this is not about Triple H. Triple H is going to run things as he's allowed to run. If they want him to run it as a pro wrestling company, a promotion, he'll run it like that. But if he's ordered by Ari, by Nick, by the shareholders of Silver Lake to turn WWE into a Dancing with the Stars show. He's going to turn it into Dancing with the Stars show unless he quits or makes a request to be released from his contract, which he could. But whoever gets in his place, they'll turn it into a dancing show. So when you look at Evolve and the way that the storylines have been going for the women for months, some women have maybe 5-minute matches, sometimes 7. They have had 10 or 12 minute matches months ago, but they're not doing that anymore. And right now, the tag division's not good. The Intercontinental Championship is not good. The U.S. Championship has not been good. The World and easily, the Undisputed titles don't feel substantial because they only got this amount of women working in those divisions. Not this amount of women. They got women in the back, guys. Understand. They got, just like NXT in the Performance Center, they have tons of women in the back. Now, I can easily say HBK tries to bring them out and rotate them out, but even he has to keep a core group of women here. Instead of doing this, making the divisions feel substantial, like the North American Championship, not the Tag Championship, but the World title. They can bring more women in, but he's doing it like this. And that's the problem with Evolution. You got this core amount of women here. And there's nothing else. They're going to have a battle royal, which feels empty. Not because there's not going to be women they're going to throw at it, but these women have no characters and there's just so few of them that you've even seen in months. It's going to feel empty. And yes, Last Legends is going into the battle royal. You're going to have Keanu Jordan, I believe. You're going to have, who else? Lola Vice and a few others. And they're going to be at Evolution where one of them could win an opportunity when they go to, Paris. I can't remember the title of it. But the next next PLE will be, not the one that Lasso Scotland. What's the name of it? It's Paris. That's the next one. Can't remember the title of it. But I'm telling you right now, it feels empty because there's no character development for the women. And so many women are in the back that you rarely see. They can just throw them on the one show that you're not going to know mostly who they are or care who they are. So I'm just not feeling it. But this is just me. Peace.